Drasha darchei noam. The ways of the Torah are pleasant. And the Torah is pleasant and it's wonderful to be Jewish. And yet, when it came to the giving of the Torah, the process of the delivery seemed anything but soft and sweet. The description that the Torah provides us with is one that is truly frightening. The Torah tells us, "Vayhi kolos uvrakim." There was thunder and there was lightning. Va'anan kaved alahar, and there was a thick cloud on top of the mountain. V'kol shofar chazak ma'od, and a very powerful shofar being sounded. Vayecherad kol ha'am, and the entire nation was trembling. V'har Sinai ashan kulo, and all of Mount Sinai was engulfed in smoke. Why would you give the Torah in this way? Why should it be that the sound and the lightning and the smoke contributed to an atmosphere where Vayecherad kol ha'am, the whole nation was shaking, was trembling, was in fear? Why not give the Torah in a nice, sweet garden, or maybe yet in the midst of a beautiful smorgasbord? It's so nice. People could be eating their sushi, they could be going to a carving station. Why was the Torah given in such a frightening manner? In the beginning of the Parashat this week, we read about how Yitro joined the Jewish people. And the Torah is very clear as to what transpired. Vayishma Yitro, Yitro heard Eis kol asher asu Elokim elu Moshe el Yisrael, everything that Hashem did to Moshe and to the Jewish people. Ki yotzi Hashem es Yisrael miMitzrayim, because He took them out of Mitzrayim. And if you look in the Midrashim, and Rashi cites part of it, Mashmu Hashem ba, he heard Kriyas Yamsuf and Milchamas Hamalek. He heard about the splitting of Yamsuf. He heard the war with Amalek. He heard everything. Yisro heard all about it, and he said, "I'm coming, and I'm going to be a part of the Jewish people." And it's so fascinating that when he comes, what happens? Moshe comes out to greet him, and all of a sudden, Vayisaper Moshe lechosnos kol asher asu Hashem leparo l'Mitzrayim. Moshe tells Yisro everything that Hashem did to Paro and to Mitzrayim. Yisro already knew that. That's why he came. Why is Moshe retelling Yisro everything that he already knew? The answer lies in one detail. Because Moshe, besides for telling Yisro about all the miracles and about all the events, he told him, Eis kol ha'talo'a asher matzasam baderech, all the travails, all the difficulties, all the challenges that they experienced. It's not always easy. On the outside, it may look wonderful. There are things that are beautiful, and yes, the Jewish people experienced great miracles. They went through the Yam Suf, fantastic. But they also experienced a lot of difficulty. They experienced the shibud of Mitzrayim, the bondage of Egypt. They experienced great fear when the Egyptians pursued them. It wasn't so simple. There were a lot of things that were not so simple. And while I don't like the expression Shver zu sein a Yid, it's difficult to be a Jew, there's no question that there are things that are challenging. And we have to overcome them. Some of them are lifelong challenges, like anti-Semitism. And unfortunately, we have seen the trail of carnage that anti-Semitism has left in its wake over the past millennia. And then there are other challenges: the cost of Jewish tuition, the cost of observing Shabbos, the cost of kosher meat. Yeah, there are challenges. This past week, I actually was speaking to somebody who reconnected with her heritage, who was not raised in a religious environment, and took upon herself Shabbos and then kosher And many of her friends questioned her, some even mocked her and said, why are you doing this? And isn't it so hard? Isn't it so difficult? And she said at first it was hard, at first it was difficult. But now she can't live without it. Now she treasures it. Now she understands why it is so vital to her happiness, to her spiritual growth, to her sense of purpose, to a fulfillment in life that gives her meaning. Angela Duckworth is a local professor who's very famous for her extensive writing about the need for grit, for strength and resolve in the face of difficult times. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. Hopefully, as the vaccines become more available, things will improve, but we still have to be exceedingly careful. We still have to worry about social distancing and masking and all of those things. And it's difficult, especially 11 months in. Fatigue and frustration are definitely more palpable. But we overcome it with grit, with resolve. We understand how vital it is to be sensitive to other people. We understand how important it is not to make a chil Hashem. And so we are careful, so we do what we are supposed to. And so, this is why the Torah was not given in a garden by still waters. It was to teach us that yes, the ways of the Torah are pleasant, they are beautiful, they are wonderful, but sometimes there are challenges. Sometimes there are aspects that are scary, overwhelming, challenging. But we have to be prepared to greet those challenges, to not run away. Yes, Vayecherad kol hamachana, the whole camp was afraid. But they didn't leave. They stayed. And so must we. We must remain strong in our resolve against this terrible pandemic. We must remain committed to the Torah and its ways. And ultimately, in the merit of observing the Torah and staying steadfast and true to our principles and values, we will merit the ultimate redemption. May it come speedily in our days.